So we have some quick fire hints and tips for you on what to use if you're doing a question on capital punishment. But this one is a very specific question because it's asking you about Pope John Paul II's teaching. Now this is Evangelium Vitae. So first and foremost, let's put that in. Evangelium Vitae. And it is an incredibly useful source to know to help you on anything to do with capital punishment, which is the death penalty. But here, you very specifically needed to know it on this question. So let's have a look at what he said. He said it should only be used in extreme cases. So he did say it's okay to use it, but it must only be in extreme cases. He actually said in cases of absolute necessity. And you might be thinking, well, what is a case of absolute necessity for the Catholic Church? And cases of absolute necessity for the Catholic Church were to be if there was no other way to defend society. So extreme cases, absolute necessity, if it was needed to defend society. But he did go on to clarify then that modern systems make it rarely needed. Modern systems make it rarely needed. And he said such cases are rare. If not, practically non-existent. So Pope John Paul II said it might be necessary in cases of extremity, in cases of absolute necessity, but these cases are now practically non-existent. He also goes on to say non-lethal methods are preferable. He talks about, in keeping with the Catechism of the Catholic Church, bloodless means should be sufficient. And he was very clear that public authority should limit itself to bloodless means. And that is to maintain human dignity. And then finally, he very clearly reiterates this idea that you have to think about the purposes of punishment: to restore justice, protect society, and reform, give the criminal a chance to change. So Pope St. John Paul II on capital punishment comes from Evangelium Vitae, and he does make this bold statement, seen quite maybe shocking for the Catholic Church, that the death penalty could be allowable in extreme cases. He says in cases of absolute necessity in order to defend society. But then he goes on to say that those cases really are practically non-existent. And he then continues to say, actually, non-lethal methods are preferable. And he quotes the Catechism when he says bloodless means should be sufficient, meaning that public authority should limit itself to punishments that are not capital punishment, not the death penalty, in order to maintain human dignity. He says, unless there is an absolute necessity, there are bloodless punishments that can restore justice, protect society, and reform. Now, that's just a quick fire look at some of the points that we would include in that question. If you want to see us answer the question in full, we will put a link to that video on the screen now for you as well. But also check out the other videos that we have on capital punishment with the different sources of authority to look at as well.